this meeting. We acknowledge that true understanding comes from you, and we are grateful for the insights that emerge through thoughtful discussion and collaboration. Bless each one of us who contributes and help us to carry forward the knowledge we have gained. May these discussions guide our next steps with clarity and discernment. Thank you for being the source of all wisdom and for teaching us through one another. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, one and indivisible. The Texas Pledge. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Very good. Thank you. All right. Any comments from the public? I don't think so. Okay. Thank you. Do we have any requests for reimbursement? Here she comes. Jumped ahead of her.
No.
Do we have any requests for reimbursement this month? Okay, all right, perfect, thank you. That gets us to the consent agenda.
Motion, we approve the consent agenda.
Okay, second. Any discussion needed? Okay, on favor, say aye. Opposed? All right, consent agenda passed. Move on to the regular agenda. We'll receive the SJRA Woodlands Division report. That's you, Chris?
That would be me and Ed here in a moment. So we do have items to cover over the next few items. So on this item, I'm just going to cover that our Woodlands and GRP monthly operations reports begin on page 23 in your packet. Nothing really out of the ordinary. You could see on top of page 23, we did have one water line break caused by a drilling contractor, not our own. We are seeking reimbursements for that expense. It was right around $30,000 or so. We've had this happen numerous times over the last few years. We've always gone back to the contractor and luckily have been able to get it lately. So
Who was it? Who was the fiber operator?
I don't recall. Do you?
Oh, I think it was Verizon. Contract for Verizon.
But they were successful in hitting the line and finding it for us. So I appreciate that. We also do have in the packet beginning on page 34, I believe. Yes, up 33 is our 6-month project updates. We did this roughly 6 months ago, October, November timeframe, and it's just the update, just a little bit more in depth on where we're sitting on all the projects and everything else. Last thing I have does skip forward a little bit. It's on page 69. This is the Bear Branch Division's monthly operations report and update on projects. With all that being said, I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have. Sure.
Mine are about the GRP and the Intera report. The Intera report is a summary of what the remeasure did at the Panther Branch, Egypt, Big Barn fault lines. And I was wondering, you put those on the website and I don't see it out on the website. Do you know what's
Okay.
out there?
Are none of them out there?
Older ones, not the more modern report.
So is 2025's on there, did you see? If not, we'll get it on there. I'm just,
I don't think it is.
okay, yeah, we can put 2025's on there and 2026 is underway. They haven't actually done the survey just yet, but
If I don't see 25 out there, who could I send an email to?
you can just let me know.
To let you know?
Yeah.
Okay. And we are still measuring and we're only measuring in March now, right?
Correct.
Okay. And those data points, like this past March, are they out on the website? Do you know?
If the interior report's not, then I'm guessing
I
they're not
don't
as
think
well.
They are.
So, okay.
That's what Dr. Meinrad said. That's where I'm
Okay.
getting all that.
Yes, not a problem. We
Okay.
did,
Typically don't publish just the results. It's always the report.
Okay, somehow he got them, so maybe it was an open records.
he's done
request.
open records request
Okay.
every year.
Okay, cool. Well, then we'll pursue those avenues. Thank you.
Yeah, not a problem.
Any other questions on the primary report? Okay. Move to item 12. We're act on the supplement agreement.
That's me. Good evening. You should have two memorandums at your place. No,
Is this,
Any different than what was in the package?
members in the packet. And if Eric has the electronic version and he will send it shortly.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just.
This is all mine to read
Yes, ma'am.
right now.
That's small.
You're- Yeah. so they should-
That's a stack for you.
So the first thing we will talk about is in your packet on page 68. There have been several questions over the last couple of months about what type of schedule the supplemental agreement is on and when would funds need to be available? When would projects be moving? So if you look at page 68, there is a schedule in there for basic moving forward. Our original intent was to try and get supplemental agreement approved by March of this year. We didn't get it delivered to WWA and Brian Yates soon enough. And so we're a little behind schedule in getting that out. But we also received some comments from some of the directors saying, why do we need to do this before the May election? And so we built this schedule based on after the new directors take office and we have a chance to educate the new directors and existing directors of our project plan. And so this shows that MUDS would consider the supplemental agreement in June or July of this year. If July, it would go to our board in July because we're a week or so after you all. And during that same July meeting, the board would authorize Adam to pursue a bond offering. And then the schedule talks about when that would occur. Bond sale would be September 26th. The closing and funds being available sometime in October, probably late October, because getting an AG opinion might take a little bit of time. Advertise Woodlands Parkway water line for engineering design only. And we can't do that until we have funds in place. So that would be October of 2026. Town center easement acquisition would begin November 2026. Again, we can't do that without money. And easement acquisition is about $3.5 million worth of easements. Engineering, town center engineering design complete is anticipated for December of 2026. And then preliminary engineering for Woodlands Parkway would start February of 27, being complete. That preliminary engineering being complete a year later. Advertised construction of town center water line would be July of 27. And then board approval of the construction contract for that project would be a couple of months later. And then finally, construction would begin around November 2027, and it'd take roughly 18 months to complete. And then the final item on that would be Woodlands Parkway water line initiate final engineering, and that would take February 28th through January of 2029. And then 4 months after that, contractor might be starting the Woodlands Parkway project, assuming we don't have to acquire any easements on that project. So you can see we've got several years ahead of us to be able to get that those two tier 1 projects moving. So the next item we want to talk about is the water line. There are two emails. Let's look at the April 13th email first. That talks about the schedule for keep getting the same one. Let me dig. There's one. You run out? Okay. Do you have any extra? So let's talk about the April 13th, 2026 email. This one talks about project concept to completion. And the goal of this was to educate the directors on all the steps we take in identifying a project, the conceptual phase, take it into preliminary engineering, then to final design, then to bidding phase, and then to construction phase. So this is a lengthy document. It itemizes the majority of the steps that we take during each phase. And each phase typically has a cost estimate, which gets updated in the next phase. When you get into final design, we have different milestones that we're looking at the project for the engineers preparing. We have a 30% milestone, a 60% milestone, a 90% milestone, and then final. Each one of those milestones, they're updating the cost estimate because they're refining their documents and getting better information. So we are contractor or the consultant is preparing a cost estimate about 6 times during this whole phase, because one of the questions has been, well, how refined do these estimates become? Why do we have a 30% contingency at the very front, but as we get closer to the end, it's only 10%? It's because level of knowledge of the project at the beginning is very limited. When you get to the end of the design, you have very specific set of design documents and technical specifications. So I'd like you all to take a look at this, read through it. Have any questions, pass those to Eric, and then he will pass those to us. We'll get answers back to y'all. Didn't want to spend a whole lot of time on it. The next one, several questions have been raised as to when we published that spreadsheet, the 11 by 17 spreadsheet earlier this year, February, March timeframe. It had some different cost numbers on there for the tier 1 waterline projects than what was identified in the HDR report. And so questions came up, well, why are they different? So this email, the April 14th at 9:33 a.m. goes into pretty good detail of what steps we took to update those cost estimates so that because of the schedule that we just talked about, you know, there's could be 3, 4, 5 years before some of those projects actually go to construction. And you got inflation in between, you've got other expenses in between that were identified. And so this email talks about how step by step that our prices, our cost estimates were derived and why they are slightly different than HDRs. And so also, if you all would take a few minutes, read through it. If you have questions, pass those to Eric. We'll provide answers and we'll get on down the road. Last item is, for this agenda item, is the supplemental agreement. And that is a conversation between you and the attorney, and we're happy to answer any questions if you have something else during that discussion. Any questions before we hand it off to your attorney? Didn't want y'all not to have something to read out. That'll put you to sleep. Thank you very much.
Thanks, thanks.
Emails back, you'll see the agreement. It looks to be, I'm pretty sure it's just the same that y'all had last month. Really, the red line is going to show that on the exhibit A, that the water line project got moved from tier 1 to tier 2. Everything else is relatively the same. I believe due to the fact that the election on May 2nd, there's going to be a change in directors across all the different MUDs. For the most part, all the other MUDs are waiting to kind of push this off and wait to see how everything shakes out and make the vote then. So we can't approve it now if you want, but in general, as you want to spend kind of on that system until that's well.
Yeah, any
Let
additional
directors vote on it. Makes sense to me. That's what
But it's still, this assumes every MUD signs, right? There's really nothing in here to unwind one of these. If all 10 don't sign on, correct? So that's the way the structure works. It doesn't really say that. I mean, I've said this a couple times, but that's fine. I mean, you guys can deal with it when it comes down the road, but if one just holds out and the others have signed, it doesn't really address what happens. And people are saying, well, it's probably not going to happen, but that's not a good way to write agreements, right?
Yeah.
To just hope that it's going to go that way. So I think there should be something. I would want it if I were sitting in your place in the next couple months to have something that says if all 10 don't, then this effectively is terminated on its own right.
That's something.
It's a simple ad. I don't think anyone would argue with it, but it just doesn't have any provision to really address that right now. That I can tell. Maybe I'm missing it.
And that's something I can address with.
Yeah, we've brought it up before, so But he said, well, they're all gonna sign. I just, well, okay.
It is in the core agreement, though, that each bud signed. This is a supplemental to the core agreement.
Yeah.
So the core agreement contemplates if Estuary identifies a critical infrastructure that needs to be addressed and they don't sign, then they have the option to request a cash call for that.
And so that, I think that should just be clear, because this thing also says that if there's a dispute between this agreement and the core agreement, this agreement rules.
Well, this is just
Right.
an add, and this is just a supplemental to the core agreement. So it doesn't rewrite the agreement. It's just to add on
Yeah.
these projects to that. But I.
There is some language that says if there's a conflict, this agreement rules. So I think you have to be a little more careful than just assuming the other agreement's gonna take care of it.
I understand.
Potentially, that's all. It's just it's a fine point, but maybe one worth looking at.
Just add on to.
This, I think it's a pretty simple fix.
Yeah,
it's just-
You brought it up before.
It's clean up.
So,
I think
no,
it's
first time.
just cleaning it up, right? He's made some other changes, I think, that we asked for, so. That's all I have. So. Just gonna get moved on.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, we'll defer. So I have a motion to defer. I guess we're supposed to consider if I need to do that. I don't think we
Nah.
don't have to do anything.
Nope.
Okay, good.
Just put on next month's
Good.
agenda.
Okay, all right. So we're gonna move to item 13. That to, this is the water reclamation facility condition assessment study.
That would be me. All right, so I'm going to be speaking from this one page. This is over here. If you do not have one, let me know. We can get you one. So if you watched or were at the trustees meeting, there was one recommendation that the River Authority put forward regarding the path forward on wastewater plant 1. This is pivoting and is a different recommendation that we're going to present tonight and have presented to the MUDs. So after 5 years of going through the condition assessment studies, everything else that y'all know y'all have been through regarding wastewater plant 1, we have 3 recommendations for the MUDs. These recommendations, we're going to ask the trustees to vote on in May, at the May trustees meeting next month. So looking at the bottom of this sheet, these 3 recommendations, starting with number 1, is to stop the further analysis and study of the comparative analysis of the 4 options. The 4 options, if you recall, one was a repair in place, one was a replace in place, one was a new conventional wastewater plant, and one was a new MBR facility. So we're recommending that you stop that analysis and you move forward with the repair in place option. Then items 2A and 2B, with the funds that are currently in the budget remaining, there's roughly 280,000. As you can see in the bottom, we're thinking this study should, or this analysis should cost no more than 200,000. We'd like to have a consultant come in and right size the facility. We don't think it needs to be 7.8. We don't know if it needs to be 7, may not be 6.5, but we want the consultant to work with TCEQ using the SFDUEs that the Woodlands Water Agency did and determine what size facility and 2-hour peak flow the TCEQ would be looking for us to actually design. The second part of 2B is to also have the consultant go back to the condition assessment they did and do a tiered approach for the replacement / repair of the facility. Very, very similar to the HDR study where they came up with tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3, the 5-year chunks, whatever it may be. Have the consultant look back to that condition assessment, put dollars to it and say, over the next 5 years, these are the things that you need to replace. The next 10 years, these things. And they could come back and say, or, you know, tier 1 is actually a 10-year horizon. These are the things you need to fix and replace. They would do basically 2 different things in that tiered approach. One would be, these are small pumps and motors and valves that need to be replaced in the next 5 years, and they're going to last 10 years. Well, you don't want to bond fund something that's going to be, you're going to be paying off for 20 years, the last 5, 10 years. We'd probably take those and put those in the R&R budget, right? But the large structures, aeration basins 1 and 2, headworks, major coating that's going to last 20 something years, that would be in a bonded tiered approach, just like the HDR report says. So essentially what we're doing with these 3 recommendations is trying to put the shovel in the ground. After 5 years of going back and forth. The economics have obviously changed in the last 5 years. It got a lot more expensive to do these type of things. So we're looking to just go ahead and move forward with the repair in place and get stuff moving. What questions do you have?
I assume this foregoes the MBR technology
This does.
at this point in time, correct?
It does.
And what are your thoughts about additional land needed? If you get into some big projects, maybe you need some areas to lay down or do certain activities to, to operate and to construct at the same time. Can you talk a little bit about that? Maybe.
Yeah, there may be, so recommendation is you still get some land, depending on how much, depends on stuff like you said. Earlier in MUD meeting, they were talking about equalization basins to bring down the 2-hour peak flow. So the plant doesn't have to be so big for this once in a lifetime event or once every 20-year event. So if you're going to put in equalization basins, then you do need land, obviously, to put that on. You may need some land for a laydown area, potentially. We identified 2 plots maybe about a year ago that you could use for laydown areas temporarily. Then when they're pulled up, we could actually use them for a second entrance, construction, whatever else it may be. So we're going to look at it and say, okay, based on everything we have going on, there may be 2 or 3 parcels that you need to buy. MUDs could also say, okay, we want to, plan ahead 20, 25 years, maybe just go ahead and buy all the land because you don't know what's going to be in 20, 25 years. And maybe y'all want to go ahead and get the land and just put it on the back burner in case you need it at some point in time. But there will be a minor land purchase at some point in time. Just need to get down and figure out how big the facility is and everything else first.
Purchase a little bit of land?
We have not.
No.
We started the process where we did the evaluations, got the surveys and everything. Then it was put on hold about March of last year, maybe January of last year.
We actually made some offers and
We did.
didn't go forward.
So that May trustee meeting where this will be decided on, we'll have the old directors. I'm cool with that.
That's at the direction of the trustees. If they want to vote on it in May, they can. If they want to postpone it, they can. What I look at least when looking at these type of things is, I know you have an election coming up in May, but for the last 2 to 4 years, a lot of these people that are rolling off have been heavily invested in this. And all this is saying is this is just the study itself. At the end of the study or this another analysis, we bring back the data as we have before. And if the trustees and the MUDs at that time say, no, we do not want to repair in place, we want to empty our facility, or we want this, or we want that, that can always be done. So this is just trying to wrap it up, go forward, repair, repair in place. But this is not saying we need $50 million to go down this path at this point.
The factors that changed from last week's trustee meeting to today, or April, whenever this was sent, was it the cost of material costs, labor costs, inflation? What changed?
So what we've been looking at for the last 6 to 9 months internally is a lot of the same stuff y'all have. When this process first started for us, it was in 2020. Economics were entirely different, right? As y'all know, City of Conroe's plant was like $50-60 million for roughly the same size. When we priced it in 22-23, it was 300 something million. And so doing the condition assessment, everything since we got that cost, was just kind of say, okay, is there justification? Did everything increase? Where are we sitting today? But over the past 6 to 9 months when the SFDUE study was going on, we were internally talking about, does it actually financially make sense for the next 20, 25 years to build a new plant? Long run, if you're looking 50, 55 years or so, financially, yeah, a new plant does make sense, a lot more sense. But if you're looking at 20, 25 years, repair and place option definitely does, is cheaper overall.
Okay.
Any other questions, thoughts?
The tiering, would you look at the tiering across all the kind of the 3 tranches of the plant facility? You've got the mechanical, you've got the instrumentation, and then typically that's how we kind of were analyzed in that kind of category.
Right.
Is it safe to say you would look at everything and anything as kind of one big package if it needs to be done now, whether it's repairing a foundation versus pulling a motor out? It's in the tier 1 kind of category.
You got it.
Okay.
So you'd have those, you'd have essentially tier 1, you'd have, let's say, structural, electrical, mechanical. pneumatic, hydraulic, whatever else you want to go down to. And then from there, you'd also have additional things where, okay, this is going to be R&R funded, or this is going to be bond funded. So break it up multiple different ways. Would also look at it and say, if you're going in and you're replacing 90% of this house, might as well go ahead and tear it down and replace the whole thing. Aeration basins, for example, we're going to go replace the concrete, but also you can replace the blowers and the piping and everything that feed to it because it's all ancillary to it. But if I just need to replace the blowers, I'm not going to replace the concrete.
And the idea that if you went 5 years down the road and you got some work done, and then you were convinced that there was a new plant option, that the money you've spent over the last 5 years is still going to be usable, not just thrown away.
It is. And so one thing, and Jason and I are the ones who kind of thought about this and said, okay, how we can do this and everything else. Because one thing our concern has always been is wasted money. You don't want to put $20-25 million in the ground and then 10 years later say, let's switch and change paths. Generally speaking, we know the belt press is going to stay where it is. That was built in 2020. It'll be there for 50 years easy. We know without a doubt the aeration basins have to be replaced. And the beauty of this is in 5-10 years, if the directors at the time say, hey, you know what, we want to look at a new plant when it comes time for, let's say, the tier 2 stuff, the aeration basins could be converted to digesters, which feed directly into the belt press and they're side by side anyways. So going through this, there is going to be some of those thought processes to say, okay, if I put this in the ground, is it some cost that I can never use again, or can I convert it? Because over the last 50 years of operations at the plant, we've converted clarifiers to digesters, aeration basins to digesters, flipped them back and forth. So there is some functionality. It does come with the cost of moving piping around, but outside that, it's not building new structures. So, now that being said, there does come a point when you've invested so much money, you can't just change everything around. I'd roughly say the first 10 years is when you need to make that decision.
What are the chances that some technology that they've been working on hits the market in 10 years? I mean, do you see that where it changes the whole cost model?
It does in some cases. MBR this is not the first time it's been brought up, or at least over the last 5 years. When we were looking at the aeration basins, we originally looked at MBR technology. And MBR can actually fit inside of the aeration basins themselves. So you can still use the basins, in every way, shape, and fashion. You just put the new technology inside of it. Same with the filters and everything else. So once you have the concrete structure, like with membranes, you just put a roof over it, but you keep everything else you have. So try to be smart with y'all's money.
It stops the work on the other stuff, basically gets us down to a kind of repair and place as you go.
You got it.
Similar to the water line and right.
Move forward.
Okay. So I'll be at the next May meeting if you want to have me represent a position with y'all. We should act on that now or not.
Do we need to act on this?
Just concurrence, give your trustee concurrence.
Direction.
Which direction we go. If you want to go on the repair and place option as presented.
I have had a chance to read this. It looks like a good proposal. They've got the $200,000.
Well, plus the other thing is that if we make the decision to move forward on this, we at least we'll have a nice piece of data to give the new directors rather than just they're starting over and like, well, we need to vote on this. I don't even know what it is. But at this point, we understand the value of having it. And then once the study is done, they'll have it in place. So it would be an advantage for them.
Well, I've always felt repair and place was the right answer. So it's no brainer for me.
You guys have a high degree of confidence that this is the best option?
Any of the options will work. It's based off of what you're looking at. So if you're looking at a 50-year horizon, I'd look at a new plant, conventional or MBR.
20?
If you're looking at 20, repair and place is your way to go.
Let's do it.
I vote that we ask our director our trustee to vote on the repair and place.
Affirmative, that's right.
Second.
All right.
Yep.
You don't need that.
All right.
So you've got
We know what to do.
concurrence. We've got concurrence.
Yep.
Okay. Done. Thanks, Chris. Okay, that takes us on to item 14. Fair Branch Panther Branch.
Yes, received notes or information from the Corps that they do not have funding to move to the next step, which was to do the feasibility that we had asked them to look at. And so they've indicated that they would look to be putting that in the budget for next year, that budget for next year. So that's that part of it. And then we will express that new update to the Texas Water Development Board on the existing funding that's in place. Just confirm that delay will be okay. And then 67 had asked for 14C to be put on there just to see if there's any reason to go back to some of those entities for an ask to see if there's any new interest. We got no's from a couple of them already when we asked, but I think they want to refresh that just in between now and whenever the Fed's ready, the Corps has funding to do the feasibility. So we'll see.
Any other questions?
Oh, I appreciate MUD 67. Geez, MUD 47 is the one with 50% of the skin in the game, or maybe less now that you got all the MUDs.
Yeah, a little less.
Well, this is not for the dam. This is for their drainage project.
Oh.
So the research forest area.
So they're the big funder of that one.
They are.
Yeah, okay.
67 took the lead on it.
6.7, something like that.
Well, we have 11.3 amongst the grant, the low interest loan, and the MUD cash. And Metro put in $1 million. That's right.
Yeah. All right, that's good. Move on to item 15, engineers report. There's
Don't have
nothing there.
anything from them right now.
Yeah.
So we just kept that on there for them.
Anything from the attorney's report?
No, don't want to have a contested election, but just as a reminder for anything else, election day will be on May 2nd. Early voting is April 20th through the 28th.
Okay. That's it?
That's it for
All right, good.
number 16.
Okay, item 17. This is the item for the termination of the financial advisory agreement of Baird and moving over to the new entity.
So 17 and 18 are kind of one and the same. If you look on page 72, and I'll just preface it with, we've been with Baird for about 11 and a half years. And the special district practice consists of 16 employees, and we're breaking off and forming an independent firm. What it does allow is, over the years that we've been there, Baird has become one of the largest purchasers of muni debt in Texas. This will allow them, moving forward, to bid on deals that we represent districts on. And so this kind of brings us back to our roots as a small mom and pop shop, which is what we were always wanting to be. And so Baird has acknowledged it is an amicable separation. As you can see from the letter, Baird has represented that they cannot, they don't have the skill set to represent districts. So they're asking for termination, specifically termination in lieu of resignation. And the ruling is because the SEC states that if they are resigning from a board, it could preclude them, as it's called a cooling off period, and it would preclude them from bidding on future deals. So they're asking for termination. And as you know, all your professional services contracts are terminable with 30 days notice. They have acknowledged that they will waive that 30 days notice. And then, so really what you're looking at is the form contract for Cedar Creek Municipal Advisors. It looks like this. Really, there's two small differences, one being obviously the name. And then the other one on Exhibit 2, you look at Exhibit 2, Item 2, we're looking at an annual service fee of $5,000, which equates to about 14 hours. And that covers travel time, board meetings, that budgetary discussions, tax rate recommendations, exemption discussions. in the packet, there is a general form contract, which is different than your contract. That is because what we had sent George Page was for a traditional standalone district. And so the fee structure is higher. This fee structure is the same as what was in the Baird contract, which was also the same as what was in the RVC contract when we left RVC. And so that hasn't changed. And then the annual service fee in the general services contract is $10,000. But we cut that in half because traditionally, when we meet with staff, we're meeting on more than one district at a time. So for efficiency purposes, we cut that in half.
How long is the agreement for?
It's an evergreen contract and it's terminable with 30 days notice.
Do you have any, I've got a few questions, but do y'all have questions at all? On the reimbursement of the fees upon termination, that whole section in there, was that similar to where it was before the previous agreement?
So that,
Right, it's kind of sections.
yeah, that is with respect to bond issues.
Yeah,
And so that's been added specifically just for efforts that have been completed, if they have been completed. I mean, you don't anticipate selling any bonds, but it is really in the, I guess the best way to explain it is that if we were to have prepared a sizing and done the work to get the bond app submitted, and then we were terminated at some point in that process, then it would be just a percentage base to cover the effort that has been completed to date.
and the intent is that was kind of a no fault termination, right?
Right.
It doesn't really say that, but that's my assumption. If there's negligence or something, certainly there's some action that
Correct.
the agency could take, right? And is this something everyone, like, I know all this, is every MUD expected to sign this? I mean, we want that, obviously. Did every MUD have to sign this? Could a MUD say no? I'm just wondering, we're in this 10 thing again.
It's possible.
That'd be weird, wouldn't it?
Well, it would be complicated just because we would be dealing with multiple consultants for the same effort.
Yeah.
Be inefficient for sure. Because as he mentioned, when we go do tax rate analysis and all the other things that we do throughout the year with the financial advisor, we work together across all the MUDs. And it's very convenient that I've seen since I've been here to be able to look at all of them at once. And they've gone through the same process for all of them. It creates consistency and it's efficient. So be my preference for sure.
I assume your rates assume that all 10 are kind of participating, right? You lose some of that efficiency if a couple peel off. Okay, I don't think that's going to happen. I'm just curious what would happen to the agreement.
Absolutely.
Why would somebody not want to sign?
In this group, you never know.
Prices.
Well,
I don't know.
are there that many other people that have that sort of niche knowledge?
Has been the same since the 80s. So this fee structure has been since the 80s. So you can see in the form contract in the packet, it's significantly higher. But because my predecessor, Jan, represented the district since all the districts since the late 70s, she was pretty adamant about keeping the structure the same. So we haven't changed it. We've honored that. I mean, she's 3 years retired, but we're still honoring the agreement.
Yeah. Okay. So we have kind of two items that are connected here, item 17, which is terminate, and item 18, which is to approve the new agreement with
Make a motion, we approve 17 and 18.
I'll second that.
second.
Yep.
All in favors? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None? Okay, both
Thank you.
pass.
Hopefully the others will sign too.
You never know.
You never
You
know.
never know. I like the name Cedar Creek. It's a good
Thank you.
name. It's a good
Yeah.
Where'd that come from?
It's a rom-com.
So, no, it was about as Texas as we could get without being strictly Texas. And so the other thing is in our industry, acronyms are everything, and CCMA is easy.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I think that's a series on the Hallmark Channel.
I would
Cedar
not know.
Creek. I don't know. I just threw that out there.
Okay, very good. That takes us to item 19 on the general manager's report.
Yes, general manager report starts on page 105. Wanted to point out quite a bit of ditch work that's going on throughout the Woodlands. A little bit in all the districts so far. You can kind of see some pictures of some typical work that's being done on some of the pipe work, addressing some pipe issues and correcting that. I'll say our crews are the new crew that we've hired is hard at work already, doing some minor siltation clean out and tree cutback so that we can get access to some of these areas. So they're doing a great job. They've hit the ground running, really excited. So that's all going well. Point out we handled about 1,600 work orders last month, which is pretty typical, but a lot of work going on throughout the Woodlands. Wanted to also point out that Maureen has hit service of 28 years.
Wow.
Whoa.
Congratulations.
So we appreciate that for sure. Couple thank yous we included in here from customers. Always, as you know, I always like to include those in our report. So with that, I'll pass it on to Stephanie to talk about communication.
Hello, everybody. How are you?
Hi there.
My name is Stephanie. I work with John, Public Outreach. I'm the social media specialist. If you'd like to go to page 118 and discuss some of our 2026 annual community survey results. So John wrote up a fantastic report. Everything's obtainable through that QR code, easy scan. Want to say first and foremost that these are the questions that were answered, none of the comments. We're still kind of breezing through those, seeing what's applicable, how we can apply that. So we can have more for you on that next month. But I do want to bring you to the top of the page. We have a lot of positive findings through this. We had 841 total submissions. We've had a lot of increasings from the familiarity with us. Also from opinions has become favorable, increased 44%, which is nice. I think it has a lot to do with a lot of our outreach and our communications. Overall, their opinions of us have grown a lot, increased by 64% since 2022. Now, these aren't apples to apples because there are some missing years there. So we're giving them the best type of percentages that we can. Although with the good, there comes what we can learn from. When I go down to kind of the midway part there, overall, how satisfied are you with the following? Woodlands Water customer service. So we have small increases, upticks, which are nice. What John and I really want to find more of is what are we not touching base with our people? And a lot of that is knowledge about what we do. So they don't know about our union with SJRA or really what's going on in the Woodlands, where our surface water is coming from, kind of education initiatives that we can really put our thumb on and have fun with as far as the communications and social media goes. We do see that it's a lot of older demographic. It was almost 30%, 75 and older. Also, crazy numbers, over 56%, 20 plus years living here. So I'm a born and raised Woodlands native. So I filled out the survey and so did all my family. Again, if you'd like to scan there, you can see all of the questions as well as a wonderful write-up. Are there any questions about the survey?
Did you say that 56% of the respondents were 20-year plus residents? And then what was the 70-year-olds?
So 75 and older, it was going to be almost 30%. So about 20%, which all of that is readable through that QR code, which is
They have time.
yeah.
It's like, that gets in my bill now, whatever.
Which is nice. We want to hear
That's
from
good.
everybody. So it's a really good total that we got this year. So we'll be elaborating more on the findings. We also have everything else listed about our communications on page 119, water renewal, all of these wonderful focuses. And then, of course, on the back 2 pages, 121, we have our outreach calendar, which we are following suit with. John is over at the Alden Bridge. I don't know exactly.
Community
Association, community meeting. So spreading the good word as well. Can I answer any questions for you?
Are you enjoying the job?
Very much so. Yeah.
Yeah, the spot.
No, you're good. Yeah, I'm having a great time. I love the Woodlands, and I think it is kind of a specialty of mine to dive deep into the things some people oversee. So John and I have been talking about some real series with the water renewal that's coming up to just get more people to know. The numbers were very kind of abysmal. People don't really know about water renewal. So we're moving through the factory of what we can do to reach more people through that. So stay tuned.
So what are some of the techniques that you use to engage people on social media about water? Because you're scrolling through and you'll look at crazy cat videos. That's great. And then water comes up. No.
Sure.
So
sure.
what is it that you're doing to hook them in?
Great point. So we have a very wide demographic, as we talked about. And then also all the platforms are different demographics as well. Facebook is going to be the beast. It's going to be the monster. It's going to have everyone that's on there. But LinkedIn is also really popular with us. Funny, right? So different posts do well. Maureen's post. I made a post about Maureen, about her having 28 years. Fantastic. People comment, people love it. The thing about that is whenever they interact with our posts, we start showing up more on their feed.
So people on Maureen's post, people love it, comment on it. Who are those? Is that people that are lifelong Woodlands residents that like it, or people that just say, wow, Maureen lasted 28 years there? I mean,
so
you know,
it's people that Maureen have worked with.
Yes.
So it's people that she's helped. It's
Okay.
customers. It's people that work
All right.
in office. It's past mud directors. We have just a good smorgasbord of people that really like to interact with us. Although as far as the other types of, I guess, relaying communications, we like to dip our toes in a little bit of humor, but keep it more professional wise. Although what people love is other people. People love to see other people. So whenever you see like Carlos up there with this big shining smile, you're going to take a second to be like, what's going on there? So we're thinking about more interesting fact is 220%. Our photos do 220% better than our videos or our reels. So
Really?
yes. So across the board. So that number comes from Facebook, but it is seen across the board. So my focus is getting those photos. And also we're working with other groups. We work with Creative Media. I just dropped off a sizable hard drive for about 230 gigabytes worth of video and photo that they have, including drone footage and all sorts of stuff that we can work with to kind of bring in those younger demographics that really love those videos, time-lapse videos, travel videos, before and after videos. So just trying to study our demographic and reach those spots where people want to stop and take a moment.
So the biggest draw that you have right now is people, but in terms of education, and let's say that, what do people know about sewers?
Exactly. What do they know?
Yes.
And that is a perfect example. So John has asked me to storyboard some ideas about how we're going to explain that in a fun, inviting way where people want to learn and they want to share that to their neighbor or their mom or whatever. So we have a lot of things kind of in the mixing pot. Next week, I'm actually going to start to dip my toe in some different options to show Eric. So we're going to start doing some different things, fun things, but driving more education and why the Woodlands is the way it is. Without our water systems, it wouldn't be this green. It wouldn't be this pretty. We wouldn't have the life we do without it. So it's driving focus to that and also keeping and protecting it. So
there's also some science that I learned about the kind of the social media algorithms that, it kind of spools up, as I understand it, to where, the more that we can get folks to like or repost and those types of things, the more it kind of spools up to where those outlets, we move up, I guess, into the feed, so to speak. So it pushes it out a little bit. So you can talk more about, I don't know.
it's true. So let's say, let's take a neighbor, for example, that you're friends with on Facebook. Okay. Let's say you see something about our defined irrigation schedule. Let's say you're not a part of Woodlands Water. Okay. This is brand new information. Oh my gosh. I didn't know we were supposed to be watering these times. I'm going to send that over to Sherry down the way. Okay, the moment you send that and Sherry looks at it, likes it, and then let's say comments on it, it's going to open up to all of her friends. And then let's say one of her friends, and that's why sometimes we get people from California, New York, Wyoming. Why am I seeing your post? Do you know anyone that lives here? My family does. Interesting. The algorithm is its own consciousness. So the more that you study it and let it be its force, it will work with you, which is really about our people and commenting and liking and sharing and really promoting that curiosity. Because curiosity is going to keep bringing people back. So,
People like vandalism and Ed could go out on the dam. I'm kind of not joking, because that could get some views. I mean,
Yeah.
I know it's all.
that
nice
dam
and
has been
rosy,
like that since I was
But, like,
probably in junior high.
Who's breaking our locks?
Yeah,
Who's spray painting the dam?
yeah.
I'm just spitballing here.
Yeah, no, I love the ideas. Also, if you have ideas or if you're like, hey, this is interesting, email me. My email is swilliams@woodlandswater.org. And I'd love to hear from you because we're all a team. That's how it is.
Love it. Thank you so
Great
much.
job.
Yeah.
Stephanie.
Some GM report questions. I see you split, the Randalls and the Sprouts is going in one. Do we know what's going in the other side?
I don't do none of
And how is our Dudley Sports Complex coming along? Are the tenants moved in?
I don't know.
I drive by there all the time.
Yeah,
Kinda looks
empty
like it's
parking
full.
lot.
They got signage up. That's
Yeah.
about it.
We're not usually in on that mix. Once the plans have been approved and we kind of go forward with the tabs and stuff, we don't really, until we see it.
But we're on the hook, right, to pay them? But we're not going to, maybe, because they're not done? Is that right, Hugh?
Well, the agreement, I need to refresh my memory on it. Is there's a time clock that's been ticking, all right, and there's a threshold amount of work, I guess, when it becomes inhabited or becomes, then there's an
The
amount.
improvements are created. So once the above ground improvements are created, that's usually the trigger, because then that hits the tax rules.
Right. And that was a very small.
That's happened,
it's a-
right?
That's a small amount compared to the 4.4+ million, which was really for that whole lot to be developed with basins and a lot of other work. This is not a lot of work, I don't think, that was done for this
Not on this
part.
first step,
No,
no.
no. And I don't know what else is in the pipeline, but this is where we are after almost 3 years now. We just get one facility. So I think the clock's going to kind of work in the favor, I think.
All right.
Y'all should probably bring that out
Yeah.
and take a look at it.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Eric on the GM report? And then we have the trustees report.
Yeah, I think we talked about everything
Yeah.
from that except for, well, I don't know if you want.
Some of the trustees were talking about consolidation of the MUDs. That was a interesting discussion.
So, it's in your trustee summary, but that was the item that I was gonna hit on. MUDs 1 and 6 and possibly 36 are looking at consolidation. If you recall, MUDs 2 and 40 previously consolidated years ago to become MUD 1. And MUD 1 and 6 are interested in possibly 36. Moving in that direction.
My question is about the water loss am I correct to think that what SJRA meters versus what we bill for, that the delta between those two is our water loss number?
Correct.
Okay.
And you said in that trustee meeting that we're still well below, even at 5%, the average is 7 or 8.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to use that as an excuse. We want to find, that there was something that occurred in September that we've identified everything, all the other months, balance out, but that there still is an anomaly there in September that we've not been able to find. It's not billing software. It's not the meter reads. We've gone through all of that. We did find a couple accounts, but they didn't amount to anything appreciable in terms of that particular month. So we feel like we've looked into, uncovered every stone we could. We're going to get back together with SJ probably in the next couple of weeks just to circle back and say, here's everything we've uncovered, here's everything you've, you know, and see if there's anything else. I mean, certainly there could be theft and things like that. There could be unrealized leaks. That is possible, and not uncommon. But, you know, it's possible for a leak. Sometimes water lines are usually on the same side as storm sewer lines because water lines are usually opposite of the street from sanitary lines because there's rules on separation of those two lines. So usually water and storm is on the same side. It is possible for a water line to break and not go to the surface, to migrate to, you know, a pipe, a storm sewer pipe, and you'd never know it. There is ways to, of course, the Woodlands is a massive region to try to find that needle, but it's not out of the question that it could be something like that. But the reason we don't think it is because all those numbers drop back down. If we didn't find it, then it'd still be there, and it's not the case. So that's why we're not putting a lot of stock in that, because we'd still see some significant issues in the months after. So.
Yeah. Okay. All right, that takes us to any reason to recess? I don't think there is. So we are back without recessing, and there doesn't look like any comments from the public. Any items for future agenda that we haven't discussed? Okay, we are adjourned.
We are good.